Hi, it's Erica. I have come across a very interesting topic because of my job, and it's a really cool topic, um, but it is about finding inner peace and being able to nurture that in ourselves and what that means. So, I have a very neat job, and this is uh, about nurturing the spirituality of children, right? It's just so cool because it's separate from religion, right? Spirituality, they're kind of one and the same, but spirituality is a little bit more fluid in terms of beliefs and things that we follow as humans, right? And so, a part of nurturing spirituality is inner peace. And I was kind of struggling on how to articulate what inner peace is because we kind of have a general understanding of what inner peace is and what it means to us, right? And so, I'm sitting in my chair trying to figure out, well, what's inner peace? And I feel like I'm Po from Kung Fu Panda, going inner peace, because I can't find the words to describe what inner peace is. And and then I went on YouTube and was trying to find some videos, and I couldn't find any, or maybe I just wasn't looking in the right place. I don't know. But I was able to find the words. And so inner peace is the true acceptance of self. It is the ability to be content with who you are and have a true understanding of who you are. And I think that is so fascinating because it all stems from us having a clear knowing of who we are as a person, as a soul, as a heart. And I don't think it's something that gets talked about enough. And it's interesting that that's been a recurring theme with the other two videos, is having that clear understanding of who you are and finding it. It is so hard to find sometimes because there's so many external things telling us who we should be, what we should be doing. And so I felt like talking about this because it's such a important thing that should be talked about, and it's something that should be incorporated into our lives if we don't have that understanding of how to achieve inner peace or how to be comfortable and content with who we are. And luckily, I have some of the steps that you can follow, and I'm sure that there are so many different ways that you can cultivate inner peace in your own life, but these are just some of the things that I am working on for this project. And so, first things first is having silence, having the ability to be still, to be content with doing nothing, and allowing yourself to have naturally occurring thoughts and maybe basically just putting away distractions, putting away our phones, putting away objects, like to what do you call that? Like, I can't think of the word. I want to say twiddle, but that doesn't sound right. But, kind of messing, or, if you have a pen in your hand, right, you're kind of flipping it and just doing things, or, maybe you have a Rubik's Cube or a deck of cards that you shuffle, having the ability to be still, which you can kind of also, I guess, go into a meditative state, but it's the ability to be silent and still with only you. There's no distractions, there's no objects, there's no nothing that your brain or your eyes or your hands can pick up on and go, okay, I should be moving something, I should be looking at something, I should be doing something. None of that. Be still, be silent, and just content with where you are and who you are and just the naturally occurring thoughts that you're having, right? Just allow it to flow. The second thing is self-reflection. Go figure. And you can do that through so many different things, I think. You can do it through art. You can do it through journaling and music, or again, meditation. But it's the ability to come back to center and to have that moment of introspection and go, okay, what do I need to focus on? Why is my attention constantly drifting here? Why is my attention going here? Why can I not sit still? Why can I not focus on the things that I want to focus on? You know, because my brain's telling me I need to do dishes. Why can I not sit here and be content with where I am and who I am without having all of these thoughts going on in the background? What do I need to do to get away from that? And then also, which this is a little bit trickier, addressing patterns and thoughts, reoccurring thoughts that do not serve you. And it's the thoughts and patterns that are not kind to you or to others. So that could be, I don't look good. I don't like the way I look. I don't like my clothes. I don't like the way I look in my clothes. I don't like so-and-so. I don't like, you know, and, or, you know, I absolutely hate, you know, having to go see this person. So it's taking a moment to go in, to look at yourself and say, why are these coming up? Where is this stemming from? And with the thoughts about yourself, you know, that can usually be traced back to family members, you know, parent, a sibling, maybe it's friends, maybe, again, social media. That has had such a impact on everybody, I think, especially growing up with the internet. You know, it's hard to say what things stick and what things don't. And then if you have thoughts about other people that are pretty negative, look at why that is. Is it because of the way they treated you? Is it just something that they can't fix or they can't do? Maybe they're highly narcissistic and you just really don't like that. But then you need to look and say, what can I do to release this attachment to this person so I can just be positive around them? What can I do to kind of put up a wall so that way you're not as affected by it, because it's affecting you? So anyway, but self-reflection. Take a moment, have that self-reflection, whether that's once a day, a few times a day, a few times a week. Have it. It's important because you need to know where you're at in your growth and why certain things are affecting you as much as they are. Let's see what the third thing is. Go outside. Go outside, connect to nature, be present with nature without all the, you know, plants and animals. Just be outside. It's something that it's very difficult in the US, I will admit that, but go to a park. Go do something where you are out of your house, you are away from, I don't know, like regular shopping centers or places that are, you know, frequently visited by other people, or it's just not genuinely in nature. Go to a national park, go to your local park, go to the beach if that's, you know, close to you. Go to, I don't know, honestly, a zoo. You know, be around plants, animals, nature as much as you can. Get some sunlight. You know, it's something I think that we have moved away from over the last couple of decades because of the way that cities are built, towns are built. You know, I lived in an area where you couldn't even walk. You know, like you know, you couldn't walk to the grocery store. You couldn't walk anywhere, honestly. I was on a major road. So it's not like it's easy for a lot of people, you know, or if you're let's say in a city, there's not a lot of opportunity to see nature. You have to go seek it out because it is designed in a certain way that you can't walk outside and go into a forest or go into a park. It's very unfortunate, but do your best to go out in nature, at least I would say every day, but if you can do like one big outing where you go to a park or to maybe go hiking, just do it once a week and just be present. Don't put headphones in. Don't listen to music. Don't kind of try and keep yourself occupied. Don't listen to a podcast. Be present. Be out in nature and just process, right? Because that's the whole point, is we're trying to achieve inner peace. Just process and be still. Let's see. What's another thing? I can't think of exactly what I wrote down. Create an environment that enables you to have these practices, right? So if you're going to have the self-reflection, if you're going to incorporate, certain things to achieve inner peace, right? Set up a space for you to journal, to meditate, to have a moment where you can just be still. I know, a lot of people have, what do you call that? I don't know, if you meditate, you have your own little setup where it's like a cushion, maybe a table or an altar or something like that. You don't have to go that far. You can if you want to. That's entirely up to you. But having, let's say you have a big chair, right, or a beanbag. That can be your little seat to go to anytime you just need a break. And you just go, okay, I need to be away from my phone. I need to be away from just messing around with things. I need to just be still. I need to sit and I need to think. And I need to just be with myself. That can be a place. Or maybe you do want to create like, a cute, cozy space. You can get some floor cushions, some pillows, a blanket, have a basket with a bunch of journals, or books, maybe books about meditation, about maybe breathing practices, to help, like the box breathing exercises. What's another thing? Regulating your emotions, because I'm sure a lot of us as children were not given the proper support to work through our emotions anytime we feel them, like anger or sadness, frustration. We tend to shut down if we kind of feel that coming on. So when we do feel that, feel it. Be present with it. And if you need books to help you, or I'm sure you can get some like little cards too. They have a lot of like affirmation cards. So I'm sure that there's something that you can find, like breathing practices to help you, breathe in for 4, hold for 10, release for that. There is a practice like that. I don't know what the exact numbers are though, I'm sorry. But things like that. Or you could even get some little posters with instructions and, what to do. Yeah, but creating a space that allows you to be content, to go to when you need a moment to have that self-reflection, to have that moment of processing, to work through what is coming up as you try to achieve inner peace. Yeah, and then I'm trying to think of what else there was. There's a few other ones that are kind of specific to children and families. But honestly, I think you could do it with yourself, where one of them is creating meaningful rituals, right? So it's the practice of doing things in a meaningful way. Go figure. I really could have described that much better than just repeating the word in a different way. But you know, like let's say, I don't know, you want to have a ritual with yourself, this practice with yourself, where you go out and let's say you go to a new cafe every week, or you go to the same cafe every week. That can become a ritual that you adopt every week, that you know that you can try out. Or maybe go to the farmer's market, or go to a new park. And let's see, what else? Maybe you go to different classes every week. You could go to a painting class, you could go to a pottery class. You could, let's say, you know, you want to get flowers every week. Or you maybe want to start gardening. Or, I don't know, there's a lot of little practices that you can start incorporating and it becomes a ritual, right? Or maybe a lot of the time you see like bedtime or morning time rituals, right? So you journal, you take a nice bath, you I don't know, you put on a movie, you light a few candles, you know, you just have that peaceful atmosphere, this bedtime ritual or this morning ritual where you, let's say you wake up, you journal, you go for a walk, you have a smoothie. So there's different things that you can do, and throughout that process you can show up as yourself. You can do the things that you enjoy, and as you start establishing these rituals, you'll understand who you are a little bit better, and you're showing up for yourself in that way. Because, you know, let's say you really enjoy learning new things, so taking those classes is helping you honor who you are, because you genuinely enjoy learning new skills, new tasks, and by going to those classes you are honoring yourself, and you're allowing yourself to express that creativity and express that need for learning new things. So it definitely does help. But one of the things I realized while I was talking about that is the key to all of this is being able to have free self-expression. It is so important to allow yourself to express freely how you feel. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that you should go on the internet, or that you need to be going around to different places going, this is how I feel. It's more so about it being able to express that in a safe space and coming to terms with it, right? Processing it, having that reflection, and going back and saying, okay, you know, this is how I'm expressing myself. Let me get comfortable with it. Let me have that processing. Let me go through these steps, and then you can bring it out into the world. So, but this way, you go into that fully knowing who you are. That is so important with self-expression. Because if you start expressing yourself and you haven't come to terms with it, if you haven't solidified it, if you haven't established your beliefs and your feelings around it, and you're going out and you're expressing yourself and you're not fully comfortable, you need to go back and get comfortable. So that way, when you have that expression, it is a true self-expression that you can come back to, and you have that clear knowing and understanding of who you are. And nobody can tell you any different. That is what's important here, is if you have this clear understanding and knowing of who you are, and you are firm in those beliefs, and you have all of these different things that you've processed and you've taken into consideration as you've worked through it, and you're able to go out into the world and say, this is who I am, you cannot get upset with other people who are disagreeing, because you know exactly who you are. That is honestly, I think, the key to true happiness, and that's why it goes back to inner peace, right? Because being content with who you are is so important, and having that true understanding of who you are is so important, and by being able to express that allows you to have just happiness and joy in your life that wouldn't be there otherwise. So it's such a full circle thing when you are able to work through everything, be comfortable with who you are, have that self-expression, and you can just live a happy and fulfilled life and be at peace with all of it. And so it is such an important thing, and I don't think it's talked about enough. And there's not enough content, I think, out there that talks about this. Maybe there is, and I'm just missing it. But yeah, it's so important. But it goes back to, you have to know who you are. You have to know who you are. And you have to do the work to know who you are. Because as children, a lot of the times we kind of hang on to our parents and we adopt all of those same beliefs and those patterns and the things that do not serve us whatsoever because they're just not the best. You know, maybe it's coping mechanisms or thought processes or emotions, the way that we process emotions. I could go on a whole other rant about that, but yeah, it's difficult because, like I said, as children, we get what our parents give us, and that's how we come up in the world. And unless we do the work and we know the difference, we're not going to know. And so it really truly does start with us. We have to do the work because it is so important to know who we are. So yeah, I hope this helped. If you would like to know more about this or something along the lines of this, or achieving inner peace, more ways to do it, or I don't know, the thing about the parents, because I could talk about that quite a bit, let me know. But otherwise, I hope this helped in some way, or that you're able to maybe form a different opinion or have a different view. But yeah, so I hope you have a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.